Well, after you go through this institute, it really changes the way you do many, many things. The old paradigm of figuring out which textbook you're going to use and shoehorning it into 15 or 16 weeks and coming up with content-based testing is thrown out the window. And the process that you take on is more assessment-based. You start with the end. You think broadly in terms of how your students are going to be different 1 or 2 years out after they have taken your course. And the Institute trains you or shows you and guides you through the process of the broad steps and the process down to the actual planning each week by week, and coming up with outcome-based assessments. Sounds difficult, but once you learn the process, it's actually quite fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing how my students react to it. I think they'll be challenged by it, and I think they'll appreciate the work that's going to be put into this.
Well, one thing I discovered is that I'm including a lot of stuff in my class that's not really relevant to the key objectives of the course. But I kind of felt like I had to put it in there because it's in the book and I'm asking them to read it and so on. So I think it's going to be a lot more focused on activities that will actually achieve the goals of the course.
But for me, linking activities and outcomes to goals was important. So in other words, we have a goal in the course. We've done that for years. We've called them different things. But now everything we do in that course has to somehow be linked to those goals. And of course, so that is going to help us at the end to say, yeah, we accomplished what we wanted to. I think the other thing is the relationship between activities and assessment. You know, you put together a course, and here the big thing was to start at the end product and work backwards rather than saying, well, here's a book and here's the chapters and here's what I'm going to do. Probably for those of us who are experienced, we did all these things in many ways, but not as organized as this offers us to do. So, for example, activities and assessment. Not all activity is necessarily going to be an assessment. Every assessment probably will involve some kind of an activity, whether it's a test or something else. But I think it's important to distinguish those two things. And even if you're going to have an activity and an assessment be rolled into one, we need to ferret out what part is going to do what. The other thing that I came away with from this is, and it's hard for a guy like me, is that content, you know, I'm driven by content a lot. The content has to be there. That's the knowledge. But we have to go far beyond knowledge. We're a university. And so I don't need to be the person delivering an hour and 15 minutes worth of content every time we meet.
I am mostly, in accounting, it's mostly content and then exam, content and exam. But the Institute, by attending it, has changed my, I guess my philosophy of teaching on that, where now I'm going to incorporate the things that we learned in the Institutes in the critical thinking area, but I like to call it more problem solving. So I'm gearing mostly my assessments and my learning goals into the problem solving area so those students can now start to know how to make informed decisions. And I think that's my goal, so they can learn to make informed decisions, and that's what the course, my learning goals are based on, so they can achieve that ultimate, how to make an informed decision in the financial area.